I picked up a PlayStation Portal, previously known as Project Q, launch day from PlayStation Direct. I was willing to overlook all the cons, shortcomings, or limitations that we all knew this device was going to have, such as the fact it's a dedicated remote play device for PS5 on your Wi-Fi network. The sucker doesn't have Bluetooth, so if you don't want to use the 3.5mm jack and you want wireless headphones, you're spending at least $150 for PlayStation's latest and greatest. And while ergonomic-wise, I think there is not a handheld out on the market that's as comfortable as this. Not the Steam Deck, not the A and Neos, not the Switch OLED, not the ROG Ally. So this definitely has the comfort thing going for it, as well as the features of a DualSense controller. But having gotten that one piece of praise out of the way, when you see what this janky, lackluster screen can produce to your corneas, and unfortunately, the biggest issue here, the straw that breaks the camel's back, the one aspect, the one reason, the one purpose this device is alive, considering you can't link this to PlayStation Play or the PSN network to play games directly, you're going to be playing this on a local network with your PS5. I am in the most ideal perfect testing conditions that most gamers aren't going to be in. I get over a gigabyte down on my home network and I have two PS5s, two different model generations to test with, a 1000 and a midlife refresh, which is actually connected to Ethernet. And even when sitting only about 6 feet away from my console, which is much closer than I'd actually like to be for using remote play, there was noticeable input lag or delay, or even when there wasn't, because there was stretches or runs for 30, 40 minutes where I wasn't getting a single dropped frame or noticeable stutter. But you still constantly have this low resolution pixelated haze, as you can tell that it is being streamed and not being processed locally on the hardware. It's definitely noticeable. And again, I have top tier internet here, so I can only imagine if you're trying to play this in an apartment or a dorm room, or just you don't pay for top tier internet because the shit's expensive, this is going to be a hell of a time for you, and you're probably going to be pretty disappointed right out of the gate. As for the packaging, it included accessories on the PlayStation Portal, previously known as Project Q, yet another accessory in the PlayStation 5 ecosystem. We've got the VR headset, which got a little dust residue on there. Then you've got the Pulse 3D headset. Then you've got all these accessories in the ecosystem popping up on screen here, very Apple-like, and they also seamlessly pair up. As this is a licensed PlayStation product, you are going to have white and royal blue on the box, and you're going to have this holographic tamper sticker. If this bad boy is sliced into, somebody's already diddled your equipment. Now you have a real case of box inception, as you have a box inside of a box that's kind of inside of another box. This lifts up from the top, nice matte gray, no laser cut foam holding your handheld in place, just a little sneeze guard. Then you have the pièce de résistance. Let's go ahead and remove this bad boy. That is satisfying. The sticker removal, not the screen or most of the components used. The coolest part about this device, hands down, just immediately grabbing it, is going to be the DualSense controllers attached to each side. So you have the haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, touchpads, although that's handled on screen, but the screen itself is pretty lackluster, and the capabilities of this machine as far as what it's actually compatible with is quite minuscule. And then in the very bottom, you are going to have your remote player lecture et de distance, which is your instruction manual, pamphlet, or brochure, which isn't the most cosmetically pleasing, but you've got decent font. You're going to have a USB-C port, a 3.5mm jack, which is very important because there is no Bluetooth capability. So if you want to go wireless, you're getting one of Sony's from the lineup. And keep in mind, it's not just Sony Bluetooth accessories like the Pulse 3D headset over there. It has to be the new Johns that use this wireless protocol, which Sony is using. It's definitely a way of keeping you in a proprietary ecosystem, which I'm not a huge fan of. What I am a huge fan of is the fact that there's little PlayStation face buttons all over the back of this stippling, and that expands all the way across the back, which is pretty cool. There is more I want to touch on that I haven't heard pretty much any reviewers mention, like the fact that these are not full-size thumbsticks or analog sticks from a DualSense controller. They're actually about 2/3 the size, which isn't a huge deal in practice, but worth noting. The fact that you can disable the LED RGB glow around the controllers, and that does extend your battery life, which should be substantially longer considering there's no local processing happening here, and all this needs to do is keep the screen and the DualSense controller powered up. Battery life should be pretty much double what it is, at least in my personal opinion. I want to point out two very different handheld companies. We've got Valve over here, which I know, not a handheld company. They have the Steam launcher, and they dabble in hardware like the Valve Index headset and a bunch of their artifacts from yesteryear. But we've got Valve over here, and then we've got Sony. Again, not a handheld manufacturer, but they've got their whole ecosystem, and they have produced a lot of handhelds in the past. The PSP, the Vita, the PSP Go, and now the Portal. But Valve just released a midlife refresh of the Steam Deck, kind of a Steam Deck 1.5, if you will, and they are showing what a company can offer a consumer as far as straight value, they've kept the exact price of the launch Steam Deck while installing an OLED screen, which is a huge step up, higher frame rate, better peak brightness, lower power consumption, plus the battery on board is bigger and better. Don't forget double the storage. The speakers are louder. Virtually every component is slightly upgraded while still at the same price. And then we have something like the PlayStation Portal over here, which is a one-use device, needs to be connected to a PS5. And even that aspect, the one aspect that I personally purchased this for and was very excited for, because if it could offer the experience of playing PlayStation 5 games throughout my house, or I'm playing Spider-Man 2 on the shitter, and I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima in the garage. I don't know why I'd be doing that because it's always too hot or too cold out there. Or I'm playing Uncharted in the backyard, or I'm playing Last of Us in my car. Probably not in my car because again, you can't, this isn't like a portable device. You have to be on the same Wi-Fi network as your PlayStation. I guess if I was just sitting in my driveway in my car. But even this being a one-trick pony, it can't do that one trick very well because all of the games that I'm playing, even without lag, which there's always a little bit of input lag or delay present, just a little bit. You might not be able to recognize it. These corneas, they can. And again, I'm in an ideal internet situation here. I didn't really have to bust out my monocle and put my eyes directly on the screen, start pixel popping and whatnot to see, whoa, this isn't like playing natively on the PS5. And that's fine, but if these compromises are going to be made where it's not being processed on local hardware, rather it's on the same network as your PS5, and that has to be turned on, connected to Wi-Fi, and it's even controlling the screen of your TV until you switch inputs, like that PS5 is running the game that you're playing. Meaning if your PS5 loses power, you lose power in your house, or a force update happens or something, it's just going to kick you off your Portal. That's another thing. I actually did lose connection to both of my PS5s multiple times, where it kicks you out into this little Portal home menu where it zooms the screen out into a circle and says, hey bud, what happened to your PS5? You still got that thing in your house? I do. I just don't have a solid connection with this thing, I guess.
I keep having it disconnect constantly.
And last night when I was playing with the Portal, I made a little written post on my socials saying, review coming in the near future for this, but for the love of God, don't spend your hard-earned money, your shekels, your ducats on this device. And then some people in the comment section of my Facebook asked, hey, does it lag, man? And I said, yeah, it sure does, buddy. It's got a little bit of input lag and delay. And then somebody slid in there and is like, well, a lot of people said that it doesn't have lag. And I just want to touch on this for just a quick second here. Let me take a sip of my drink here. Why go to a content creator or influencer's page just to contradict them and say that other people have said other information? It doesn't seem productive, and if it's something that I personally contest, for example, the performance of the PlayStation Portal, I've got two PS5s and hella good home internet and a PlayStation Portal right here, is my personal and professional opinion and my track record and integrity I haven't proven on this platform over the last 3.5 years. If you've heard other people say it doesn't lag, cool. But just to show that it's not just me that's having this issue, this is a gaming journalistic platform called Inverse, so I'm sure they have pretty decent internet at their office. Laggy, became blurry. The title of this one is How Good Is Your Internet? Life-changing and frustrating at the same point. Well, if you're trying to justify your purchase because you've already spent $200 on this thing, also fine, but there is a very easy refund policy on the PlayStation Direct website. It's just like Amazon or Walmart. You just click the refund button. One of the things in the dropdown is, I wasn't satisfied with this product. You print out a free shipping label and send this trash panda back. Trust me, it does. It absolutely does. And even when it's not lagging, because it doesn't do it all the time if you're going to be right next to your PS5, but it's always going to have that streamer bitrate issue where versus watching an uploaded video on YouTube, you're watching a live stream. You see that little bit of pixelation when the lighting changes. There's kind of that weird gray pixelated haze. Yet you're always getting that because you're streaming your content. You're not playing it locally, which I knew getting into this, but I just thought that the Portal would be able to handle it better considering it's not really cloud streaming it. It's a local hardware remote play. That's the proper terminology for it. It's remote play. And I just expected the performance to be a little bit better. The one thing that this does is to extend your PS5 to where you can play it in all rooms of your house. I was pretty disappointed with the visuals and the battery life. It's a cheap screen. For you can feel it, you can see it, you can taste it, you can touch it. It is a touchscreen. That's cool. This little area right here for the touchscreen, because that is actually going to be the touchpad of a DualSense controller, but you can hit it on either side. So that's cool. Onto the speakers, I was not impressed. You do have two stereo speakers on the top and they can't really get blocked from your hand, so I do like that. However, they sounded very hollow, tinny. Dialogue didn't sound very rich. It was just, you know, like you're talking through a radio. I also wish they got a little bit louder, but if that were the case, they need to get clearer as well, because at 100% volume, they actually crackle or sound distorted. Cheap speakers. Let's move on to the screen, which is also hella cheap as well. The screen cosmetically looks like a cheap tack-on or afterthought. It kind of looks like the massive control center for the Teslas, which I'm not a big fan of because that massive tablet, okay, it looks okay on the S and X models, but on the Model 3 where it's just like bolted on, it looks dumb. And same thing with this. It's just like, here here's your screen, but it just does not feel firmly secured whatsoever. But as far as the tech specs, it's 1080p, 60 frames per second, or 60 hertz, I should say. I'm fine with both of those numbers. A max resolution of 1080p, fine. I wish it was 1440 or 4K, but this is a really small screen here. It's an 8-inch display, so as far as pixel density, not a big deal. 60 FPS, it'd be great if that was 90 or even 120. We've got 60 here. We've got a penny pinch. But then as a cost-cutting measure, Sony decided to put an LCD display in this bad boy instead of an OLED or organic light-emitting diode, which, let me tell you, sister, does make a tremendous difference, not only in TVs and monitors, large displays, but also handhelds like phones, tablets, and on-the-go gaming. It's a fucking huge difference. It's also a big difference in price, in the production cost, and this probably would have been a $350 device. People are already really on the fence about buying this. Granted, it did sell out, which I think is pretty kooky. I've applied for a refund for mine, so this is one more unit that will be back on the shelves. And I do feel like a lot of gamers, from what I'm hearing, got their hands on this because they weren't sure what to expect, have tried to play with it, and are now like, oh, okay. Some of these refurbished models might be popping up on PlayStation Direct. Maybe you get mine. You might actually get my unit here with my skin dander on it. So that's really cool. There's other handhelds I could be playing. We got a Sega Game Gear there, a PSP, a couple of PSP Go's next to it, a Sony Xperia handheld, and then we got a Game Boy right there, a couple of handheld PCs. And this is just bringing up the ass end of the pack because it's a PlayStation 5 only device, which is totally fine. I bought it with that full intent of playing my PS5 games on the crapper. The loafs that I'm pinching here aren't fantastic because you got the LCD screen here. I wish it got just a little bit brighter, but that's not the problem here. The fact is, all of the blacks look kind of gray and all of the grays look kind of white and all the colors look kind of washed out, and it just doesn't look good. On to what I do like, the ergonomics or comfort. This is so much more comfortable than any handheld I've used. The Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, Neo, any of those joints, because this is just like holding a PlayStation 5 controller. And you also get those adaptive triggers that get stiffer or lighter depending on the action on screen, and the very strong, when at peak vibration, haptic motors on board. So that's nice. And you also do have the touchpad, although that's going to be on the screen here. And you do have a built-in microphone as well, with a mic mute right here on the right, which will glow yellow or amber to let you know that you are muted. That's all I got. If you're waiting for more pros, the pro section's over. We're on to the stinkiness now. Since this device doesn't game on local hardware, it's harnessing the power of your PS5. It is very quiet and very cool. Unlike a Steam Deck, it's not going to be super loud, spraying all that hot exhaust air on your hand. Well, it misses your hand, but there is hot air coming out of it. With things like the Logitech G Cloud and the PlayStation Portal, since they're cloud devices, or this isn't even cloud, it's a local remote play device. But one of the perks of being remote play and not having to rely on local hardware, not only being quieter and cooler, but also battery life should be substantially better than other handhelds on the market. And it is, but that's just because the handhelds are trash with the battery life. Not talking about the Switch, get that just right on out of here. Shouldn't even be in the conversation. The Steam Deck, when AAA gaming, will get you about 3.5 hours of battery life, and the Ally about half of that, about 1 to 1.5 hours. And this will get you around 6 to 8 hours when you charge it for about 2 hours. So 6 to 8 hours sounds good, but that's really about the same as a DualSense controller. I guess that's what's really sucking dry. That 4370 milliamp hour battery on board is going to be powering the features of the DualSense controller, haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, which can be shut off, but you probably don't want to because they're really cool. But 6 to 8 hours isn't great. I was hoping for 10 to 20. I know that sounds fucking crazy, but not really. This is a remote device, so 10 plus hours of battery life should be almost expected. There's no little APU that can in there choo-choo chugging away, working its ass off inside your hands like a little handheld computer you're holding. This is just, you know, over the airwaves. And the fact that battery life was only 6 to 8 hours really twisted my nipples back. And I think that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. That, and then just the fact that when I'm playing my PS5 games, the image that I'm seeing on that little 8-inch screen is nowhere near the experience of playing a PS5 game on a monitor or TV. It's not even close. Another little thing I gotta mention, 529 grams. That's pretty light. Feels very good in the hand. Back to the cons. Also, a couple of user interface gripes that I have. Since this is a touchscreen device, it'd be so cool if you could navigate your PlayStation 5 menu, like tap on a game or navigate the settings menu. The touchscreen is literally only in existence to simulate the touchpad functionality of a DualSense controller. That would make PS5 games unplayable if you didn't have a touchpad. You have them here on each side, and it'd be awesome if when you held down the power button on top, it also turned off the PS5 you're connected to. However, in order to do that, you actually need to just power off your console as normal. So we'll do that now. Sleepy time. So my final verdict, would I recommend picking up a PlayStation Portal, previously known as Project Q, for the PS5? No. On all regards, no. Even knowing the limitations that you have to have a $150 Sony Link headset if you want to go wireless with buds, but also screen is subpar, the speakers are subpar, the battery life should be double what it is. And the biggest problem here, the the actual one thing it does, which is a connection to your PS5, even in ideal circumstances with balls to the wall home internet, not everyone has. And I'm taking that into consideration here, because if I'm suffering like this, holy shit, I can only imagine what Danny, one of my subscribers living in that one bedroom studio in New York where they give him free internet in the building and he doesn't pay for it. 30 megabytes down, he's not going to be able to even turn this thing on. It's going to just disintegrate in his hand. When you look at other handhelds on the market, for example, the Steam Deck is double the price, offers more than double the value. I mean, it's a fucking PC. You can dock it with a keyboard and mouse and do a little bit of productivity work with it. Even if you're in the PlayStation 5 ecosystem and you got the PSVR 2 headset and you just want another white device to sit next to your PS5, you could probably spend $200 US better. 3 games, because they're $70 a pop now. It's actually less than 3 games. This is a portal I won't be traveling through, a portal I'm not going to be traversing the universe through. Drop in the comment section below your experience with the PlayStation Portal, if you picked up this device or if you're going to, and what you're playing on PS5 currently. Probably Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate. There's a lot of good shit to play right now. And I'll see you Stallions and Stallionettes tomorrow. Peace. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers. This information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover news in the gaming community and industry, tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, as well as honest gaming product reviews, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, mics, chairs, etc. There are some hefty exclusive discount codes found only in the description of my videos and only for the audience here at GamerHeaven. I have links to all my other platforms and socials in the description below. To get in touch with myself and the Stallions and Stallionettes of GamerHeaven, join the community Discord and check me out at twitch.tv, where I go live every other leap year on a blue moon if it falls into an odd calendar number, and my pH balance is on point. Just kidding. Starting June, I'm going to be live streaming a lot. Thanks for watching. This has been AK40 Kevin hosting GamerHeaven, and I'll see you tomorrow, because I upload daily, all the time, 60% of the time, sometimes, most of the time. Peace.